I went in the room. I said, hey, what's up, XYZ? Sorry, it's not working. You're fired. And that person gets like the shock of their life. And I walk out.
So who are you going to marry?
Tanmay Bhatt once told me that there are two ways to make people remember you. Yeah. There was another fantastic player called Wayne Rooney in that team who was probably better than Ronaldo when they began together.
Yeah. Mr. Ranveer Allahbadia.
This is crazy, Dr. Warrior. Like, this is what guests see when we're doing a podcast with them.
And this is what you see. Not a bad view, bro. Congratulations on your new space.
Thank you.
Incredible work.
Thank you, Dr. Sid.
Welcome to the Sid Warrior Podcast.
Wow.
In a brand new location.
I love it. I'm really happy that the first time this is happening to me when I'm on this side of the setup, it's with you.
I love that. Thank you so much. We just shot an hour of our podcast with you. I'm so glad that you got to do this. Let me start off right at the start. BeerBiceps. What does BeerBiceps mean anymore?
I think everyone knows the story of how it started in fitness and then I used to project balanced fitness. BeerBiceps is exactly what Triple H or Stone Cold mean, which means it's just a brand name. I've toyed with the possibility of dropping it. The thing is, it's got a very high SEO score. And in my heart, I'm a capitalist. And whatever gets my content out there and whatever names the world of brands and PR remembers, I'll stick to it.
Right. So now you are saying that we shouldn't really look at beer and biceps anymore. It's kind of like Nike, Adidas.
Yes.
It's just a word now.
Yes. I don't know how I feel about that, but yes.
Yeah. Because we spoke about identity. And at any point, was BeerBiceps your identity?
100%, bro. Fuck. I can cuss?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Go for it.
Dude, it was almost bad because I think when you begin in the fitness domain, I think we was just speaking about this outside. We talk about cancel culture. The fitness genre in India is the most cancelling genre and it's always been that. So you're trying to grow amongst like tigers and wolves who are ready to pounce at you. So I used to really hold it as a, badge of honor and my gimmick of, balanced fitness with like beer and like, I used to put in extra work in my bicep workouts to just ensure the name is valid. Like I've done bullshit like that. Okay. And in 2017, the beginning of 2017, I got a horrible tennis elbow injury.
Okay.
Because of which I had to stop powerlifting. I had to actually stop gymming for 3 months and I went into like this really bad mental zone where I actually began crying a lot, like actual crying for the first time in life as a grown adult male. And I realized how much of my identity and self-worth was attached to the size of my muscles. That I wasn't feeling bad that I couldn't gym. I was feeling bad that what used to validate me for like 3 years is now turned nothing. That detached me from that BeerBiceps angle. And then I kind of started hating it. I wanted to be aggressive about the name. And Manish Viraj got together and told me that do not drop it.
Right.
It's good on SEO. It's good in the brand world. We are earning money because of this name right now.
Right.
And now I'm just neutral about it.
I love how capitalism can sometimes save your mental health.
Fair.
So after the tennis elbow injury, when you were recovering from that, how did you move away from BeerBiceps, the meaning?
Bro, firstly, I started doing fashion content. Partly because I couldn't take off my shirt anymore because I was looking like shit and I was conscious about how bad my body was looking. And once I started fashion content, I saw 10x the views. I just realized, there's a whole world of content that my team and myself are capable of doing, which is outside of fitness. And that's been the biggest content lesson. So that tennis elbow was the most important turning point of my career, probably, in retrospect. And doing fashion and all eventually led us to doing Hindi. Because a Hindi fitness channel alone may not just run. If you want to scale, you teach fashion, you teach grooming, because not too many other people were.
Right. When somebody starts creating content in today's world in India, I think everybody with a mobile phone is somewhere dreaming of becoming a content creator because they see that other people have done it, who have started off with just what they have today. So when they start off, usually everyone starts off as just one person trying to do everything. Maybe after a year, 2 years, they may get another person to help, maybe another editor. Eventually, they may have a team if they become very, very successful. You have gone through that journey. Your team has just grown in size, in capability. what was the biggest takeaway that you went through from being an individual person to now being in charge of a team that has what, 15, 20 people? Yeah, incredible. So what was your takeaway?
I'm gonna make it really crass.
Go for it.
Like you have to be ready for a lot of chutiya banti. Like
Gali de de.
because there's a lot of hit and miss until you find the right fits, especially initially. Later on, the right fits you've selected early on will do that HR job for you. But initially, you are the HR, which is hiring, close mentoring, close coaching, close ego battles. So you have to go through a lot of wrongs until you find your right set of folks. So maybe initially, if we worked with the first 30 people we worked with initially, maybe only 5 are still with us.
Wow.
But those 5 were the most key. The first 5. And they are still there and they have become the leaders right now. At this stage, we consciously look for leadership in almost everyone we're hiring. If not leadership, then some other level of talent.
Right.
That's the only thing we choose between. And I'm just talking about BeerBiceps.
Yeah.
Parallelly, when we have like other startups, you have startup learnings from there, leadership learnings from there. Sometimes someone doesn't fit into one of the startups, so they come and fit into BeerBiceps. Right. So at this stage is different, but initially be ready for a lot of hit and miss and self-coaching, like yourself on leadership, all that. Read books, fucking watch sports documentaries, ask people shit.
Yeah. Because when you start hiring people, the first 2-3 people that you hire, it's like you've invested yourself in them. Unko chodna, like to fire someone is not a skill that most people have. Bura lagta hai yaar, like it hurts to tell somebody that, listen, I have to let you go.
I have a story here.
Go for it.
It's my first 2 fires, okay? So it was these 2 interns and they were very bad at their job. I had even made the mistake of just hiring the first person who was ready to work and the second person was ready to work. Just wrote on Instagram, I want to work for you. I said, come. You're from Bombay, come.
Right.
Very wrong. There was no filtration process, all that. Another mistake is I got very emotional about them. And this I'm not talking about Rajas. It was just Rajas, my first person, who was my camera person and my editor at that time, myself. And then these were the 3rd and 4th positions we were hiring for. Okay. Lots of red flags in terms of early requests. Like one of them would come to my garage, my first office. Okay. And then tell me that, can you please order some food? I'm hungry. And I should do it.
Okay.
Like that's not office culture.
Okay.
You know, and she would come every day. And then after a point, it just became, oh, I want this today. Today, can you order this? So shit like this, like bachkandi shit like this was happening. I'm just like, what the fuck? And then I just realized someone told me that if someone who you've hired is making your life more difficult, you better fire them. And if someone's making your life easier, they are the right hires. And that's a rule I still follow till today. So those first 2 hires, firstly, I was a kid, so I was very angry about the situation. Ki, how dare you come and fuck up my office? Right. I also didn't know how to emotionally process it. I was also very scared of confrontation at that point in my life. Yeah. So here's my strategy, okay? I told Rajas, bro, I'm going to fire this person today. Okay. And he's like, okay, how do you feel about this? I said, I don't know, man. I'm just going to go for it. Okay. So I went in the room. I said, hey, what's up, XYZ? Sorry, it's not working. You're fired. And that person gets like the shock of their life. And I walk out, man. It actually felt like slitting someone's throat.
Yeah.
And I did this twice. And then the guilt sat with me for days. Obviously, it was a wrong move. You're supposed to give like proper reasons. Right. But I was so emotionally unaware that it just happened, man. And I still look back at that. I'm not really in touch with those people, but I'm sure I gave them a bad first career experience because they were also interns and they didn't know what they were doing. I wasn't a good leader. Okay. But sometimes you can't help these like wrong situations. And it makes you a much more emotionally aware leader going forward. Right. So don't do this. There's an art of firing where you are supposed to give someone the reasons for being fired. And anyone who gets fired has expected the fire. Always. There's no one who you will fire who's not expected it.
Somewhere they also know.
They know, yeah. Because no one just gets fired like that. You give input first. Then you give strong feedback. Right. Then you give your first warning, your second warning, and then the third warning, they know it's a fire. So we put these people also through that. But
so now, you as a leader versus you as a brand, as somebody you started, what has been your change? When you think of yourself as a leader now, what is the thing that has changed in you?
I'm very emotionless and very driven about just the mission at hand. in saying that, I think I'm a very friendly leader. I'm not, when I say emotionless, I'm not ruthless.
Is that true, guys? Okay.
Why don't we bring in Aja, come. Why don't we bring in Shrutesh? Come in. Okay, how, and Shrutesh has joined us what for? 3 months?
3 months, yeah.
Okay, and I work with him closely. He's one of the few people in my life I work with
Right.
closely.
Right.
Let's hear it from him. And this is not planned or anything.
Honest opinions.
Talking
Go
to
for
the
it. Ranveer as a leader.
Ranveer as a leader is very straightforward and very clear about his goals. Like he will talk only what he needs.
Right.
He will
Is he a robot?
no.
Because sometimes I feel that anybody who's doing so much, like Elon Musk, like is it robotic? Ki aaya subah 8 baje, 8:30 baje, 10 baje.
He is well planned. Like actually.
That's just being polite for a robot.
बोल दे कोई नहीं.
No, actually, because his schedules are fixed like 1 month ago, like everything and
Wow.
all. So every hour of the year, 24 hours is fixed. From this podcast to meetings, everything.
Okay.
So, okay, one answer one question.
Yes.
Have you noticed me being thoda emotionless? Little bit?
Little bit, yes.
Okay.
Somewhere.
And you've been here for 3 months,
Yes.
right? Okay. So we need to find somebody who's been there since 3 years. We will. Because I want to know the transition between emotional to emotionless,
Fair?
right? Because this is something that probably all CEOs do go through.
And
at some
I
level.
think emotionless often in culture is projected as something bad,
Yeah.
but it can be a real strength if you know how to control your emotions well. And I asked my friend, my best friend in life, Nandini Shinoy, she's been on the show. I asked her that, do you think I've become emotionless? She said, no, I just think you now give your emotional energy to very few situations, not, you don't like jizz your emotions across your whole life, which you used to.
Right.
So I think that's the game, but maybe we can answer this at the end of the podcast with Sanchit, who's worked with me for a while now.
Right. You've been a huge follower of Cristiano Ronaldo.
Yeah.
I've seen you talk about him, post about him. He's someone that we have seen grow, right? Like we saw him in when he was playing for the Portuguese team. Where was he before he came to Man United?
Sporting Lisbon.
Sporting Lisbon, right? And skinny fellow, right? Like 17-year-old skinny fellow. And he came to Man United, started working out. He was always talented, but he wasn't like the beast or the machine that he was. What did you imbibe from him?
Now imagine seeing this as a 9-year-old or a 10-year-old and seeing him be not physically up there but still like going for it. And then every year after that, he got way better. Not just a little bit better, but way better. There was another fantastic player called Wayne Rooney in that team who was
Yes.
probably better than Ronaldo when they began together.
Yeah.
And Ronaldo like went ahead of him. You saw this every year. So this was also in the most formative years of my life. Age 10, age 11, 12, 13, 14. I can remember him going to Real Madrid in my 9th, 10th standard, broke my heart. And then you see him getting better there. And you're growing up along the way. And you're following all his interviews. You're seeing what he does on the pitch. You're seeing him become a leader, captain of Portugal, winning the Euros with Portugal.
Yeah.
And it just gives you a roadmap for yourself in terms of what you can learn from the greatest out there.
Yeah.
So he didn't begin as the greatest, kind of discounted, and worked his way to the top. And every teammate only says very disciplined. Like very most dedicated guy was this guy. So of course you kind of need a reference point somewhere as a kid growing up, man.
I love that in the initial years, he was most famous for his step overs.
Yeah.
It was gimmicky.
Yes.
I wonder if you followed that roadmap a little bit on your content creation journey.
100%, bro. Like, I mean, like, and not just content creation, in life. Initially being attention seeking as a kid. And over time, gradually letting go of things.
Right.
But yeah, I think that's what growing up also does to you.
Yeah.
Generally, everyone becomes a little less like gimmicky, a little less attention seeking, and you kind of find your own.
Yeah. How important would that be though? If there is a 18-year-old content creator listening to us, how important is doing gimmicky stuff to get attention, to get that numbers? Would you advise them to still go for it?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
Why? Justify.
Tanmay Bhatt once told me that there are 2 ways to make people remember you. Either do something looks oriented, so look really bad or really good, okay? Or the second one is have something gimmicky. Have something people remember you by. So, okay, here's a story of how BeerBiceps actually began. I was running a fitness startup and someone recommended that we start a YouTube channel. So I was so motivated about that startup that I was ready to do anything for it.
Right.
They said start the YouTube channel to market this app.
What was
So
the startup called?
It wasn't named
Okay.
back then. It was a Uber for trainers. Okay, that was the idea. And I'd drawn out the UI UX. Without knowing what I'm doing, I'd drawn out a very detailed UI UX.
Sure.
But I was just motivated about like kind of making that reach the next level. So on my way back from that investor meeting, I was with my co-founder at the time, who's also my fitness coach. Okay, so we're on this Andheri east to west highway.
Right.
Okay, and I told him, sir, but that YouTube thing is sticking in my head, what he told me, and I think that makes sense.
Right.
So and he's like, okay, so do it. So I said that it'll probably be a fitness channel, and I'll have to get into shape to be able to showcase my best body.
Okay.
And he said, no, just start right now. Don't worry about it, just start. So that was actually the best piece of advice ever given, because lots of people hesitate from starting social media out of this. I'll do it when I'm perfecting it and all that. He said, you'll get better as you do it. So I went back that night and I called up one other very close friend of mine and I told him that I've written 5 scripts. These are the content pieces missing on the internet. No one's doing India specific. I'm going to do it. Okay. And he's like, dude, great. You've always been a motivated guy, but take a step back. So I said, why? What'll I do? He's like, no, you should call yourself something. He's like, do you know who Paul Levesque is? So I said, no. He's like, it's Triple H. So I said, oh, I know Triple H. And I remember at the time, my Instagram handle was BeerBiceps because I used to be a food reviewer for Zomato.
Wow.
So I'm like, okay. I thought of the same thing in my food blogging career on Zomato, that people remember BeerBiceps, and I was ashamed to put my face because I used to give bad restaurant reviews. So I wanted it to just be an unknown identity. That's why the glass and the 2 arms around the glass.
Right.
But that time my display picture was just a yellow kind of, it was just plain yellow.
Right.
So I told him, can I go with the name BeerBiceps? So he said, yeah, it's a catchy name. So I told him that, graphic design, can you just design me something raw? And he literally pulled off the image of a glass, beer foam, and 2 arms, put it together.
And that is the logo that's still going.
And then we eventually got it officially made and all that.
Insane.
So it was the best decision because initially when I was a nobody, it caught on to people. It stayed on people's tongues, and it happens even today. Like if I go for international events, I'll always introduce myself as, what's up? I run a channel called BeerBiceps. It stays with people.
Right.
But best decision, just taking a step back, not just listening to your motivated self and thinking the game.
Wanting to be perfect is such a excuse for procrastination.
Yeah.
Because you never really get there. I see you talking about your plans now. It sounds like you still don't think that you're anywhere close to perfection.
Yeah.
Right. When you started this channel, I'm sure that you received a lot of hate. You said that the fitness community is a competitive one. But once you got out of the fitness community, you entered fashion. How did the hate evolve over the last 3-4 years?
Fitness was horrible, dude. Like you had uncles making videos against you. You had kids making videos. Everyone's just out to pull each other down. And I think that's an outcome of people who start lifting weights very aggressively in life are trying to fill a void anyway. They think they're not good enough. Something like that. And that's why you hear all these gymming motivational quotes. Because all those kids are dealing with daddy issues.
Right.
So like the gym generally is a very aggressive area. If you go to a commercial gym anywhere in India, you'll have some dude coming up and saying, "Arey, body utar gaya. Arey, like, tu nahi le raha protein shake." Or try to correct your form. That's a very small ego boost. You know how there's always a gym bro says you're doing it
ऐसा नहीं
wrong.
करना चाहिए, ऐसा करना चाहिए.
It's actually a small ego boost, micro ego boost they're giving themselves.
Right.
And they might even be good guys, but there's too much ego involved in fitness. Weight training has ego. It's an ego-driven sport.
Right.
You have to put your body through that. You need some external motivation.
Yeah, it's a very primal thing.
Yes.
My body better than your body.
I think it's changing lately. I think people are more health-oriented now, and they know that everyone's got their own different vibe about health.
Right.
But 2015, it was a hardcore pumping iron vibe.
Right.
Chutiya-bandi, 101. So, imagine people like that, but with, say, 10,000 followers, which at that time was huge.
Right.
15,000 followers. So you feel like, those in 300, those Spartan kids they send out to war. Starting a fitness channel was like that. You go and, as a 10-year-old, as a young 22-year-old kid, and go fight tigers. So it just numbed me out. I just realized, if I face this, I can face anything. And there's all sorts of sleazy shit that happens in the fitness world. There's steroid use. There's people who are dealing with steroid abuse, so they're a little not stable, very aggressive, etc. I was just very numbed out then to this whole content creation journey. The moment I went to fashion grooming, it's such cute topics that there's no hate associated with it. Other than from the fashion world, which is so niche in India, which still probably, it'll look down on even, say tomorrow, some top Bollywood actor for their sense of style. So I was like almost a nobody for them. Like they looked at me as tacky, which is fine. I'll take that. Rather than me, my body and my body image issues being critiqued, you know, from the fitness world.
So for them, you were something that was just cringe content, which was fine.
Yes. And I think I still am. Like, they don't take the fashion content seriously. But I think generally India needed those basics of men's style and men's grooming, etc.
Right. How to tie a tie, which shirt to wear with which pants. Yeah, sure.
That there's more clothes beyond just chinos, you know, things like that.
Now the hate is different.
Yeah.
There is...
Lately, since COVID began, there's been a lot more hate. I think because I've gone mainstream. I think fame has increased, so that's just there's more eyeballs on you. And I've asked for it in many situations. I consciously sometimes tweet controversial shit. I don't know, it's some keeda I have, dude. I used to be that kid who would see a candle burning and put his hand in the I'm not even making this shit up. Always seeing, you know, those fans, those standing fans, and I've always imagined myself putting my hands there, even now. And the kind of little harmless version of that is on Twitter, put something that'll piss someone off just to see what happens.
Just to see a reaction. But have you calculated that this is going to get me outrage?
Yes.
And gone for it anyway?
Yes. And I've realized that I can still take the cancelling because I'm creating so much content that it eclipses the cancel.
Right.
But it severely affects my teammates' morale and it severely affects my brand that I'm building forward, and therefore it severely affects my mission. So I've just stopped doing that shit. Now, even if I have strong opinions, I just swallow it.
So it's not logical anymore to create outrage.
Yes. Like now I'm done putting my hand in the fire or the fan. That's what.
Because now it's your whole team going.
Yeah, it's that vibe now.
So I have a theory that if you're not getting hate, you haven't really cracked the market.
Yes.
If every single one of your comments is only love, that means that you are only talking to your core audience who already love you, who already respect you because they already know you. They know your context. Context is everything, right? So if your brother comes and tells you something, you know the context, you're not going to get offended. Random person on the street, you will get offended. So that means that you are not reaching the random person on the street.
100%. I think Steve Jobs had said something like this, right? He's like, if you want to do something great, something along those lines.
Yeah,
like,
something about you have to be ready for that kind of backlash.
Yeah. Or Abhishek Bachchan in Guru saying that अगर लोग बुराई कर रहे हैं तो समझो तरक्की कर रहे हो.
So if you are measuring your success by hate, you are successful.
Yeah. Maybe at a middle stage. I won't say initially. You know.
Right.
That may not be a general rule, but at the intermediate stage that we are at right now, maybe.
So let's stick to this point of BeerBiceps ka journey a little bit. Now that we have reached 2022, what is the way forward for you? What are you thinking in the next 5 years?
In life or YouTube?
On YouTube.
YouTube international. Like I'm gonna, one reinvention is coming up. So definitely targeting markets other than subcontinent. I feel there's a demand from white people for brown content or from black people for brown content or from the whole world for brown content. But no one's played that game, and it's not an easy game to play because there are nuances. You have to talk to that audience, select topics. Your diction has to be in a particular way. I think that's what urban India blesses you with, that your diction is slightly Americanized. So it will...
we've grown up listening to Friends and Seinfeld. That helps.
That's
so
the game.
You are also reaching the other way though, because I see your Hindi channel putting out a lot of Hindi content so that you can reach second tier, third tier cities. So you're kind of expanding in both directions.
Yeah.
What is the more challenging one? Reaching to third tier cities where somebody's just got their hands on a phone and they've just got an internet connection, to reach out to them or to reach out to a Western audience?
I'm not going to say both have their own challenges. It's not like that. The beauty of the Indian audiences in general, especially the ones that only speak regional languages, is that most of them only look for authenticity. So if you are yourself and if you know how to make good content, you'll be all right. Be authentic. They want to see if you are being yourself mainly. Don't put on a show. Even if you're putting on a show, there should be some element of authenticity.
Right.
Zakir Khan taught me this lifelong lesson. The whole international game is insanely challenging. And I feel that's also why people don't enter it. But just
What is it? What is the pain point? Why is it difficult?
how are you going to get Steve from Austin, Texas to subscribe to Ranveer from Mumbai?
Right.
What does a brown spiritual dude in India gonna do for him?
So what do you have to offer to an average American?
Really good like storytelling based videos. Possibly this whole India to the world angle, like taking the best of Indian culture and the best. I feel like this is a knowledge economy since centuries. You know, like when we talk about Nalanda, Takshashila, this used to be the hub of wisdom in Asia.
Right.
That's there in our culture. Deep conversations that go 3 layers deep, etc. That kind of stuff. But I also feel we're killer storytellers.
Yeah.
That's just, and therefore great content creators. The world just hasn't discovered that about India. And my eyes opened up in my recent Dubai trip for NAS Summit.
Yeah.
I just saw I was able to add a lot of value to all my African bros I met, all the Middle Eastern bros. I was telling them very basic things about content. They were like, oh, we never looked at it that way. I was like, really? So then imagine what the advanced stuff will do to that audience.
Right.
So it gave me insight.
This is a very interesting thing because when you're subscribing to a channel, at some level you are saying that this channel has something to offer to me. So I lack something that this channel will now add.
Yeah.
If you have a superiority complex, which I do believe that it runs in Western civilization, when it comes to third world countries, when it comes to India. So if you have that mindset that there's not much that they can offer to me, it's the initial challenge would be to change that and say that no, there is actually a lot that we can bring to you. We can add to your quality of life.
Yeah.
Once that mindset shift happens, then it'll open the floodgates.
Yeah. You know, and it's happened with Korea, South Korea, and the world.
Brilliant. Yes.
There's just not been ballsy enough Indians, I feel. And that's the truth of the matter. No one's other than Priyanka Chopra, honestly, has said, fuck it, I'm gonna like go there.
Right.
Why not in other industries?
Right. So who are you going to marry?
Marriage. I'm in a very good state with my singledom to the degree where even those thoughts have like stopped entering my head.
Right.
Yeah, dude, I don't know. Thank you for life. That's what I'll say. But recently, actually, I had like a big turning point. I went to my yoga school's main ashram, and
Where is that?
it's in Ranchi.
Wow.
Yeah, dude. I spent like 3 days there, meditated like a crazy amount. I got to meet like proper monks who like meditated for like 40, 50 years. And I strongly feel like education in the modern day never gets done, but travel to the right places is a huge form of education. It's like doing a crash course in something. If you choose the right places to travel to.
Right.
And also for me, when I'm traveling, it's the people I meet, you know, who stay with me.
Right.
So like, for example, the Dubai trip, meeting so many people from so many countries, gave my content creation future direction.
Right.
This trip gave my personal life direction. And I feel like you know, I think in the last podcast we spoke about how self-identity is formed through memories.
Right.
One other time we had said that if a football fan will always talk about life using football metaphors.
Yes.
Cricket fan will do that with cricket metaphors.
Right.
Saying I'll go in for a fast ball or whatever. So I feel like when I was a kid, I did a lot of martial arts. Got badly injured by the time I was 16. Stopped martial arts. And there was always that void in my life, which I tried filling through gymming, which I tried filling through career.
Right.
But it only really got filled when I found another discipline like that. A discipline that takes over your whole mind and reality.
Which is meditation and spirituality.
So when you go to your dojo or your main discipline school, you will imbibe everything that the masters are teaching you. So they just told me that, dude, stop this whole chase for love and all that. It'll come to you, but you have to focus on what your purpose is. And I read this one quote, okay? And it's something like, it's not a quote, it's like a micro story that the moon has seen thousands and thousands of lovers commit to themselves and say to each other that they will be with each other throughout their lives. And the moon has also seen their dead bodies rotting under the ground, but the moon is still there. And maybe those lovers are also still there, but they're definitely not together anymore. So it just made me look at life in a different way. That stop looking at that one person. There is a sense of individualism that you should pay attention to.
Right.
And at the same time, spread love, and love will come when the time is right.
Is this something that's happened recently? Because I cannot imagine somebody who starts off in their content creation journey, initially talking about fitness and health. You could not have reached this mindset then. When did this come up? Because I remember some of your earlier conversation points were on masturbation and nofap, and now you don't really talk about that. So what happened? Where did that story change?
The capitalist in me always hangs on to the gimmicks that are working. That's the truth. I still believe as much in nofap and all that semen retention. I still do it,
Right.
and it helps me.
Right.
I'm done with that gimmick because it's got me the views I needed.
Right.
What's the next? It's probably this international thing.
Right.
Dark content is next. But in terms of the personal evolution, it's the people you meet. It's a lot of life that happens to you. You know, while they say, oh, success is so much down to you being Ronaldo, even Ronaldo had some God-gifted abilities. He had the right influences around him. So life is a sum total of all the experiences that are sent to you also. There is that underlying will to like get to the next level, but it's all the people you meet. And just, I happen to be exposed to the right people who had spiritual mindsets, who had very startup-driven mindsets.
Right.
So that's my answer, man.
You make it sound very peaceful, right? You make growth sound very peaceful, but at the same time, when we talk about struggle, when you talk about work, when we talk about the word is hustle now, there is immediately this backlash that we get that let's not promote toxic positivity, or let's not promote this hustle culture. Have you dealt with that? Have you had these conversations?
Yeah, with you. Like, let's quote the tweet that you tweeted yesterday that I retweeted. It said that the people who complain about...
Oh, that. Yeah.
All of us infotainment people are on the same boat, man.
So let me quote it. The people who have, the people who can call out hustle culture have that luxury because others have hustled for them. And I got this thought because privilege is a spectrum, right? And if somebody's hustling really hard, which earlier used to be called hard work, you don't know where they are in their journey. You don't know what is their need. You don't know how much they need to work, how hard to attain what. So nobody else can really call out on this. It's for each person to decide. That was kind of my take on this.
100%.
Toxic positivity is different though. Because toxic positivity says, think positive, whatever happens. That is a different backlash.
So I have a lot to say about this. One, I feel like hate, like any kind of online trolling, online criticism, there's two kinds of hate or criticism. One is the meaningful stuff where you look at it and you say that this makes sense. For example, a lot of the stuff that Prakhar used to say about me, I thought was meaningful. Because he used to say that this is coming from a place of ego, and I realized, yes, I'm trying to be preachy, I'm trying to put my points across.
Right.
So there is stuff to gain from hate. When you talk about just blind hate, I feel that when we as a team or content-wise get criticized for toxic positivity, that's not what we talk about. We talk, in fact, much more about empathy. But I feel that there is a set of audiences that just wants to see us fall. Right. Be it Viraj, myself, anyone who's associated with BeerBiceps, they're really battling for our downfall. And this is not just audiences. There are people in the industry, all that. And I've never really promoted toxic positivity because I believe the theoretical definition of toxic positivity is where you just brush off other people's problems and say that, हाँ सब ठीक हो जाएगा. It's never just that. Like the core of any problem is you get to the source of the problem. So, and the source mapping, like the map to the source will be found through empathy. So I've always spoken about empathy, but you know, in this wave of hate that we get for some of the things that I rightfully deserve hate for, some fuckers thrown in toxic positivity there. And they're like, ye bhi karta hai. That's not true. I'm all about empathy, bitch. So
that's the way to convey empathy.
It is. See, if you can go really dark and gritty, you're likely a more empathetic person. Because you're able to pull it in the other direction as well. The more you can laugh about death, the more you're comfortable with it.
So one of the problems of being on social media is that you're talking to a billion people all of them at different stages in their lives, all of them from different economic backgrounds or different stages of privilege in different moods when they're reading your tweet. Now, our brain is wired to look at a person in the eye, gauge their emotional state of mind, which is what empathy is, and then change the behavior accordingly. How do you do that in social media? How do you do that on Twitter? So when you say something, how it is perceived could be very, very different, right? So as you grow bigger and bigger, are you also getting safer and safer?
I'm getting shaner and shaner. Dude. Like, I just know the shit I have to do to get the views up, get the subs up.
Right.
And I know the shit that'll get me into trouble at this point. And I'm here to grow shit, make money, do social work with that money. Happy doing my thing.
So at the end of it, authenticity, where you start off with, kind of takes a backstage, because now the industry has taught you that these are the points that you have to talk
I don't think
about.
India is the country to be authentic in. Indians will not follow you at all if you're not authentic at all. But by saying don't be authentic, I mean don't put out 100% of your thoughts. Know what to hold back. You can put out
Because
60%, 70%.
Right.
But that remaining 30% can get you into trouble, can get your team, your family into trouble.
Right.
India is not the place to be entirely authentic, and that's the harsh truth. While I love India and everything that I do is for my country, I want to grow it in all forms, legacy-wise, soft power, hopefully hard power one day, all that. But right now, where we stand emotionally as a country, we're very divided, and you don't know what sentence will kind of piss off who. And by divided, I don't just mean religiously divided. No, I'm not talking about this whole Hindu-Muslim angle. I'm talking about generally, urban may also be divided with like right-wing, left-wing.
Right.
We are divided in terms of people who are pro, say Jordan Peterson versus people who are pro all the people who criticize Jordan Peterson. So there's so many divisions of the country, you don't know what sentence is going to fly where.
But divisions are seen in other countries as well, in the US also. There is also how we react to those divisions. So maybe India is still growing in terms of how to deal with differences in opinion.
Maybe it could also be that because Geo has gone out to everyone in the country, the first people to utilize it are the teenagers and college students who are still growing in life. That's why maybe we look at the section of the internet which is angry. It's just young people who are dealing with their own issues and trying to fuel it into like cancel culture and being divided. Like for example, a lot of the hate that infotainment people get on Twitter is from these young Gen Z teenagers who've not really seen life, and they not all of them, some of them are very like aware, but usually when you're very aware, you don't have that much time to even give hate to someone. So if you are just criticizing like that, like you go to some people's accounts and they just have critiqued 10 people in a row.
Correct.
Matlab
Just retweeted a random person's tweet with a snarky comment.
Yes.
That's it.
And it's a stream of that.
Right.
Like, how do you have so much time to do it? You probably don't have money pressure on you. You're probably a student or something right now. Right. So I get it, bro. And you're probably dealing with a lot of girlfriend-boyfriend issues, study issues. So I get it. Want to hit me? Hit me. It's fine.
Like you grow at your own pace.
Yeah.
Yeah. The way I deal with online hate whenever I do get it is absolutely ignore it. Because in my first 1 or 2 interactions, I did feel that I have a responsibility to get across my point of view, help them grow. And then I very, very quickly realized that I don't. I don't have that responsibility. It's each individual person's responsibility to grow and do the best that they can.
I think as you get older, you realize the scale of human numbers. Just realize that there's so many fucking people out there. Your work is not going to appeal to everyone. Your sentences, your voice, your eyes are not going to appeal to everyone. Just you're sent here. Dude, who's the most famous person in the world? Ronaldo, maybe?
Yeah.
Okay. There are some people in Africa, some people in some corner of India who don't even know him. Yeah. Even the most famous person has only captured a segment of humanity. Yeah. How much? He's at 140 million? What about Instagram?
Million? Yeah,
okay.
Probably.
Say even if you multiply that by 10.
I mean, you can look at Kylie Jenner, who's I think the most followed person on Instagram, and I'm sure my mom doesn't know her.
Yeah.
So,
dude, I mean, even if you multiply it by 10, which is...
And she knows me. So, I mean, we have small victories.
Human population is too big. You can't be in control of everything and everyone's opinions.
Correct. And you can't react to everybody's opinions either.
Yes. I mean, I don't think you'll have enough time. And we have too much shit to do, dude. Infotainment is a high money, high stakes, long-term vision game.
Right.
If an infotainment creator sits and says that this is why I hustle, bro, or this is why I'm positive, like it's going to be a waste of time.
So, last question, dude. You always come across as this high energy person.
Yeah.
How the fuck do you do it?
I talk very less when I'm off camera, and I appear in front of camera a lot. So your opinion about, would you say that?
Interesting.
I mean, your gauge is from the content, right?
I am gazing absolutely from the content's perspective, not from the talk we had in the balcony. It's different. Every time you're on camera, there is a particular energy that comes out.
And that's my saved energy from earlier, from not having too many conversations, not having bullshit conversations, especially those where emotions are involved.
Right.
Like rarely will I speak to one of my teammates about something emotional.
Right.
I'm close to the ones who've stuck around for long because I know them inside out, and we've grown together, we've gone through trauma together. But we try keeping our conversations either complete bakchodi, that's why you get close, or
Professional.
yeah, to the point. And the bakchodi also fuels the energy, dude.
You said that you were single. And this is not a question, but I just wonder how, as you keep growing in your own journey and you understand more and more and more about yourself, I wonder how that affects someone's dating. Because you are now entering into a date with all these thoughts, right? This mentality. And you take that with you.
I like
The level of expectations.
I like having my bubble burst. So for me at this stage, I do look for spirituality in a lady, kindness.
Right.
But what I also look for is mind fuck. Like I want someone to mind fuck me, bro. That's when I stick around.
Ranveer, I seriously hope that someone mindfucks you. With that, thank you so much for joining in. This was a lovely conversation, man. Thank you so much.
I'm glad. Dr. Sid, thank you.